You will make mistakes. You already have. My question is, how do you handle those mistakes when they are made?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Quick minisode today, hopefully teaching a small lesson in apologies, but more importantly, a bigger lesson in customer service. Want to pause and remind you of a company that's got great customer service, and that is Spark for Appraisers. Spark is an efficient technology to allow you to do more work and to do it better. Check them out by going to sparkforappraisers.com, sparkforappraisers.com. Okay, I want to tell you a very quick story and then parlay that into a little bit of a lesson today, a little bit of a reminder of where we need to be when it comes to doing business and just being good people. Okay, so the story is this, unrelated to appraisal. I've got a cabin that we use as a vacation rental. So we rent this cabin out to other individuals. And within walking distance of this cabin, believe it or not, even though it's in a completely rural and treed area just outside Yellowstone National Park, is a restaurant. And this restaurant has struggled over the years. It's been open, it's been closed, it's been open, it's been closed, it's changed ownership, it's gone from the local lodge running it to now I think there's a company that actually leases the space so that they can have a restaurant there. Well, one of the things about being a vacation owner host is that you're not just hosting a place to sleep, right? People expect you to give recommendations, to tell you where the best places are to visit and the things to do, and a little bit more about the accommodations. And one of the things that they ask frequently is, where is a good place to eat? Now, this particular cabin lives in an area that there are not a ton of options. And so we tell them up front, right? You're staying in a rural area. There are very few options available. However, what I would like to say is just around the corner is an awesome restaurant that's open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's affordable, and it's great, and the service is wonderful, and blah, blah, blah. That's what I hope to do, okay? My experience recently was not so great. So I had gone up to this area to do a little work on the cabin. I'd taken my son with me, my 16, almost 17-year-old son. And we had spent the day outside cutting trees and picking up garbage and, fixing up the deck and just a variety of different things. Well, it gets to be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're both famished. We're both very, very hungry. We had not had really anything. I think I had a protein bar and maybe a Monster. I know. Don't get in the comments. Tell me how bad Monsters are. Speaking of which, that sounds really good right now. And we were hungry. Okay. And he said, where should we go, Dad? And he suggested a place that we go and we love. And I said, yeah, but I really want to try this restaurant around the corner because I would love to be able to recommend it to people. I've never been to the restaurant, even though I've owned this place for 3-4 years, just because of the weird hours and because of the turnover in ownership. Anyway, long story short, I've never been to this restaurant and I wanted to go. So we went. Let's just say it was not a positive experience. We were waiting for quite a while, even though it was not fall. We were waiting for quite a while to be seated. Okay, fine. We waited quite a while for her to take our drink orders. Again, okay, whatever. No big deal. Okay. We both decided to order the same hamburger with fries, and my son is very picky about his meat. He really has an issue of undercooked meat, like no pink, right? And I like pink. So I ordered mine medium, and he ordered his well done. Okay. In fact, it was funny because as the server left the table, he kind of whispered to me and he said, Dad, that's what you call it, right? When it's like almost burnt. I'm like, yeah, son, that's well, you won't have any pink in it. Okay. I could not have been more wrong. The hamburger, by the way, it took a long time. I want to say 45 minutes to get our food. It was a little bit ridiculous, right? I was about to get up and say, what is going on here, right? I would have done it professionally, would have done it kindly. And by the way, I should pause just briefly to state, I am aware that servers are underpaid, right? And there are high demands on them. I get it. I try to be a person that tips well, that has some patience when it comes to serving, right? Especially since COVID, right? It's been a challenge. I get it, and I get business owners. I'm very good friends with a restaurant, well, multi-restaurant owner who tells me about these things. Okay. And I'm aware, right? I get it. And I don't want to be that jerk. Okay. But I almost stood up and said, hey, we really need to get back to work. Did you forget us? I mean, what's going on here? Right. I didn't do that because as I was thinking about it, she came to the table and she gave it to us. Now, folks, I'll just make a long story short. Okay. The fries were greasy and soggy and almost cold. The hamburger, mine was okay. It was not great, but it was okay. My son got a couple of bites into his, and first of all, his bun was soaking wet. So before he even really realized what was going on with the meat, the bottom bun was soaking wet. Okay, we had to wait probably 5 minutes before we could wave this server down and ask kindly, is there any way you could bring him another bottom bun for this burger? Oh, what's wrong? Well, it's soaking wet. Oh, okay. And she did. To her credit, she did. It did take a while, but she did. In fact, at one point, we're looking at her like, did she forget the bun? I mean, what's going on here? She brought it, okay. And then he got into the meat, and at first he's like, oh, I guess I can do it. And then he got about 3 bites into it, and he said, Dad, I cannot do this. He says, do you want my burger? I said, but I'm full. I'd already eaten mine at that point, right? He's only a couple bites into his, and it was just it wasn't good. Now, to the server's credit, okay, she recognized that when she came back with the bill. When she came back with the bill, she said, was there something wrong with the burger? And he said, well, yeah, it was, I asked for well done and it's not well done. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. Could I get you a new one? Okay. And he said, no, at this point, I think I'm done and what have you. Okay. Now, when we get back from the break, I want to tell you how she handled the situation. And I want to ask you the question, is the apology worth, right? Is it worth it? Does the apology match the offense? Okay, that's really the question. Does the apology match the offense? I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by a great company called Spark. Spark, of course, is the company that I use to import data. It saves time, it saves money, it saves efficiencies, or it gives you efficiencies, right? Check it out. Go to spark4appraisers.com, spark4appraisers.com. Folks, you will not be disappointed in the technology that allows you to be more efficient and have a higher quality report because you're not fat fingering stuff that's going in from the MLS, from the tax records. Check them out, spark4appraisers.com. Again, spark4appraisers.com. Love the music. Love the music. All right. Welcome back, folks. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair with you. Told a brief story about an experience that we had at a restaurant. Now, long story short, I cannot in good conscience recommend this restaurant to my guests. Okay. It's not working. It's obvious to me why they keep going out of business. It's obvious to me that this one's not going to work either. The cost, by the way, was actually slightly more than the other place that is not too far, like a mile and a half from us. Okay. We have to drive to that one, can't walk to that one, but I'm absolutely going to push my guests to go to the other one. Right. I'm not going to say anything bad about the one locally unless they ask. Right. And I might just be honest with them, but I'm certainly not going to recommend it. Okay. Now, the way that this server handled the situation is she did not charge us for my son's meal. Okay. Now, to be fair, I kind of made up for it in the tip, right? So I paid almost as much as I would have paid anyway, because I felt, I guess, a little bit of guilt I know how restaurants work and I know their margins, right? And I know they're very, very small. My individual, the individual that I know that runs several restaurants said, Dustin, if my server drops a steak on the ground, it's going to be hours before we make that back up in profit. Hours. Okay. And so I get it. So when you write off an entire hamburger and the bun and the condiments and the fries and the work, right, and the labor that went into it, I get that it's not a small thing. And so I tried to make up for a little bit in the gratuity. Okay. But I misspoke earlier. Okay. I said that she apologized and made up for it. She never did. She never said the words, "I'm so sorry." She just said, "I'm not going to charge you for that." I think that was her words. "I'm not going to charge you for that." Okay. So my question, folks, is the apology work the offense? Does it match the offense? I would say in this case, the answer is no. Okay. And what is the lesson for each of us? Okay. Appraisers, business owners, you will make mistakes. You already have. My question is, how do you handle those mistakes when they are made? Right? Something happens, you don't make an appointment, or you're late. Right? You screw up on an appraisal. I had one the other day, folks, that 3 times I had to turn it in. 3 times. Okay. And I kept getting frustrated. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So the borrower was wrong. Okay. I don't know how the borrower got it. Was a completely random name. I have no idea. I turned it in. Borrower was wrong, and the revision request was, please correct the borrower to the appropriate buyer that is on the sales contract. And I went back to the sales contract. I'm like, where the hell did John Doe come from when I'm supposed to be using this name over here? Right? I have no idea where that came from. And so I fixed it and turned it in. And a day later, they said, can you fix the borrower name? I'm like, yeah, I already did. So the first thought I had was, oh, I uploaded the wrong report, right? Sometimes that happens. I grabbed the wrong report. I grabbed the old one, even though I fixed it. I know I fixed it, right? I remember fixing it, but maybe I uploaded the wrong report. So I went back to it, and sure enough, the report is there. It's fixed. I printed it to the ENV file again. I uploaded it, and within hours, I get back. Please, in fact, they did a screenshot this time and actually circled the borrower name on my report. Can you fix the I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Well, here's what had happened, folks. I had accidentally put the new borrower name in the neighborhood section, right? Anyway, folks, I apologized profusely. I explained what was going on. I just owned it, right? I'm human, right? I'm so sorry I screwed this up. How embarrassing. How can I make it up to you? Okay, folks, when you make mistakes, number one, apologize. Apologize. What's so hard about that? What is so hard about saying I am sorry? Okay, I don't know why we have such an issue with that. Number two, make up for it. I don't know what that looks like on your side, okay? But I don't know that the apology matched the offense when it comes to, well, I'll tell you, it didn't, right? If I had walked out of there with a feeling like, oh my gosh, she totally made up for the lack of service, the waits, the times that I had to wait, the 2 times that we had to complain about the food, the fact that he didn't eat the rest of the food, right? If she had totally made up for that, okay, I might have recommended it to my guests. I could not in good conscience, and will not in good conscience recommend this place, because the apology, the makeup, right, wasn't worth what the offense was. Think about that. Think about that lesson, folks. And think about coming over to the All-Star team, where these are the types of lessons that we get all the time as we delve into actual experiences that appraisers are having, as we talk about them on our private community and give each other advice on how to handle situations. Please join us. We're at the appraisercoach.com. Again, www.theappraisercoach.com. Go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.